Hi, Analisa 6 here with the Lady of Leo shirt and the Sober Curator to bring you the March 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Leo for sun and rising placements. It's us, it's our time. I'm here to talk about us in my Leo sweatshirt that I got for Christmas. My grandma bought it for me. It was from Anthropology. It's some kind of made in USA company. I got really excited. They had every sign. I wish I had them all. They were so cute. They came in different colors too. I was kind of bummed that this one was pink and not orange because I think the earth signs were orange with green and they looked really cool, but I love pink, so it's okay. I just, okay, wish that I also really like orange. Excuse me. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and just dive right into talking about March. It's March 5th when I'm recording this, so we're a little bit into the month already, but I'm just going to say that we start out March with a lot of energy in Pisces. And I have my moon in Pisces, so I'm one of those. There's a lot of Leos with Pisces moons. Can I just say, and we're all witchy. We all like astrology. There's a bunch of us that are astrologers. It's just a very weird, I mean, it's not weird, I guess, but there's a lot of us out there. So I feel like there's a lot of Leo people in general that really like Pisces. I'm sorry. It's bad. I'm trying to get better. I need a better setup place for this. A better place to set up. I'm tired too. It's late. It's 9:18 p.m. I've been working on these all day and my internet's really slow at my apartment. It didn't seem slow with everything else, but trying to upload these videos, it's been taking forever. So that's just something that I'm dealing with right now. Anyway, so we start out with all this Pisces energy. And so where Pisces hits in the Leo horoscope is the area that has to do with our relationship to sex, death, marriage, rebirth, assets, shared resources when it comes to money that we share, investments, banks, loans, any money we share with family members, like inheritance or trusts, things like that. There's so much energy here. So we have Saturn, we have the sun, we have Mercury, and we have Neptune. And I'm going through so much in my life right now, you guys. It's so hard for me when we get to my placements to not see this stuff and want to just go down a whole rabbit hole tangent of what's happening in my life. But if you are a Leo dominant, so sun or rising, and you are currently working through things in a marriage, working through things around shared resources like money, assets, taxes, or inheritance, things like that, that is highlighted in a big way. And in Pisces, unfortunately, it's very ungrounded, it's very foggy, it's confusing, it's not clear, there's not a lot being sorted out in a direct linear way that makes a lot of sense right now. And there's also the potential for things to get lost, and there's potential for things to be not accurate or things to be dishonest. Mercury here can lend itself to secrets and lies, all of that kind of stuff. And so either you could be the one being deceived or you could be the one doing the deceiving. And so you have to ask yourself, which one are you? I know for a fact that I've been lied to quite a bit through my experience. And so it's hard because I'm a very honest person and I have found that I was deceived quite a lot for a very long time about quite a lot of things. And so I'm in the camp of having to make those realizations of the level of deception that has happened towards me that I think is continuing to happen, honestly. And so, yeah, I don't know. The person on the other end that I think is doing this level of deception to me is also a Leo dominant person. So you have to ask yourself, are you the one being deceived or are you the one doing the deceiving, right? And where is that stemming from? What is the work that you need to do on yourself? Why are you comfortable with lying? Why are you comfortable with being deceptive, not only to others, but to yourself, or vice versa, to yourself and then to others? Like, what is driving that? I'm in recovery and I've been sober for 8 years, but I'm new to AA. And AA has been really positive for me because Honesty is a huge part of AA and a part of recovery, and acknowledging the areas that we lie to ourselves and how that manifests into our relationships and how it affects our relationships and how we end up lying to other people through that. This is one of the areas of recovery for me that I don't actually relate to a lot of other people in AA. Not saying I've never lied in my life or never been deceptive. I mean, when I was an alcoholic and when I was doing drugs, I would lie about doing drugs. There's like I wouldn't tell people that I did that stuff. But I wasn't okay with lying about other things. So I feel like, I'm not a huge like white lie type of person. I'm not into secrets or deception. Like that's not something that I vibe with. And so I don't think that and like I said, it's not like I've never done it. It's just I try not to. Like I'm not somebody that likes to do those things. And since I've been in AA and since I've been in recovery and I've been listening to all of these people share their stories, I didn't know that there were people to this extent in the world that actually enjoyed lying and enjoyed being deceptive and enjoyed getting away with things. I knew that those people existed because I've known people like that, but I didn't realize how many people were like that. And until I got in a room full of addicts in AA meetings and heard the level that it was happening, I was like, wow, this is a lot of people. As a reader, as a tarot reader and an astrologer, that was another thing that happened to me when I started reading. It's kind of like confession, I think, probably for a lot of priests, where people come to you and they start to share with you things that are going on in their life that they want guidance on, through astrology and tarot. And it was mind blowing to me the amount of infidelity that people were coming to me and sharing with me, and not just like in their thoughts, but like actually doing those things. And I remember just being blown away. I was like, I'm not that kind of person. I can't believe that there's this amount of people constantly thinking about these things or doing them. There was a lot of people that were actively in those relationships that were coming to me with readings. And so I felt very naive. I feel very naive because I think that it's so hard for me to believe that so many people are capable of that level of dishonesty. And that's my Mercury in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces journey with this horoscope as a Leo is learning how to discern better, learning how to see red flags better. But it's hard because a lot of times you don't know what those red flags look like until you're at the receiving end of the outcome, I guess, of trusting that person or those people. I've trusted a lot of people in my life, and now looking back, there's a lot of red flags that I see now, but it took me going through that, trauma before I really knew to identify those behaviors as red flags. It's like I don't know if somebody's lying to me until I've caught them in a lie. And then I can start to see the mannerisms and the facial expressions and go, oh, those are your tells, And then once I learn somebody's tell, then it's really obvious to me when they're lying. But if I don't know what somebody's tells are and I don't have a reason to believe that somebody's being dishonest to me, then I give them benefit of the doubt. And that's my mistake, right? Because benefit of the doubt rarely goes well for me. I want to give people benefit of the doubt, but at this point, 34, everything that I've gone through in my life, like I think that ship has sailed at this point. Like the last little bit of benefit of the doubt that I had to give is gone. So I think that, obviously I'm projecting and sharing a bit about kind of what's happening for me, but, I've learned through astrology that a lot of us are going through similar things when we have similar placements. This is the area of the chart that's highlighted. If you're somebody that's gone through a death and you're dealing with the estate or the inheritance or the finances of that, just try to really be on top of the fine print. Be really mindful of whatever institutions you're working with, because again, like discernment and honesty and being able to see things clearly is really difficult right now with this energy in Pisces. If we get more into the occult esoteric side of the eighth house, this is a really positive time for the Leo individual to do some deep soul searching and some deep healing around the past. So the eighth house also has a strong relationship to past karma, and karma with marital partners, karma with people that we've been bound to, karma with family members, karma with people who have died or passed on. And if we have trauma around those things, this is a really, really positive time to go deep and do some deep spiritual work around how we can heal some of that stuff. Transcendental meditation, dream work, working with a shaman or medium around some of that stuff could be really positive, and just some good old fashioned therapy, that can also be really positive if you're processing strong amounts of grief right now as well, large amounts of grief. Another thing that we enter Pisces season with is that we have Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius in the 7th house. So the 7th house is the area that has to do with relationships. So again, we have the marital house highlighted, shared resources, assets, taxes, family inheritance, sex, death, rebirth. That's a huge relationship oriented house. And then we have the partnership house highlighted by Venus and Mars. Venus rules this house. So her being here is positive because she wants to bring people together in a harmonious way. But Mars here can actually bring a lot of conflict. Mars can come in and kind of drudge up some stuff and say, hey, we need to confront some of these issues. Venus wants to heal. Venus wants connection. Venus wants partnership. Mars wants confrontation. And I don't want to say Mars wants conflict, because that doesn't seem like a very ethical thing to say as an astrologer. I don't think Mars wants I mean, it's the god of war, so maybe it does want conflict. But I think what Mars is seeking is it's interesting, actually. If we think about Mars as the ruler of Aries in the 1st house, Mars wants what it wants. It wants to direct the will, right? How do I put my will or force my will into this situation? So it's interesting kind of thinking about Mars in the 7th house with Venus here, in the sense that a healthy partnership, there's compromise, and there's a need to understand where each person is coming from. And there's usually, meeting at the table, middle ground, and what makes a harmonious relationship work often is that people recognize what each person needs, and they make an agreement on how each person's going to meet those needs that works for both people. Mars being a very action-oriented planet that's about the will, Mars on its own isn't necessarily concerned with what the other person thinks or feels. Mars is concerned with directing itself wherever it needs to go, wherever its willpower is. And that's not always harmonious for relationships, but it can be successful in us getting what we want, right? Or getting what we need. So when I think about Mars energy on its own, I think a lot about the like Elon Musk archetype, where it's like, I'm going to get to the planet Mars come hell or high water I'm going to take whatever money I'm going to, I think of these like moguls that are like, they've got like this mission and they're just going to go like come hell or high water, no matter what path of destruction they leave behind. Like they've got their goal and they're going to it no matter what. And there's all these stories, like the hero's journey stories, that we could see in a more positive way with Mars, where like we think, if I make it about a woman instead of a man, like if I think about, a woman like Oprah, who has, I mean, she's amazing, right? Like what that woman accomplished in her life, amazing. And who she is in the world, amazing. Like we needed a woman that was like, come hell or high water, a Black woman, especially, come hell or high water, I'm going to reach this level of success. Like the world needed that. Women needed that. Black women needed that. We needed Oprah. Elon Musk, I don't know if we need more of these types of people and, directing their willpower so strong, right? So I think that when I see like Mars in a relationship house, it's volatile. There's usually challenges. There's usually a fight. There's usually, wills being directed in ways that are not always harmonious. But in certain situations, depending on, what's going on in that relationship, that Mars energy could be really positive. So if you're a woman or a man in an abusive relationship and you really need that will or that fight to get yourself out of that abusive relationship, Mars is here to help you. But if you're in a relationship where fighting isn't constructive, there's no need to fight. Mars could drudge up all this fighting energy, and for what? Like, just to make things more difficult, more challenging, that's where we need to start leaning into Venus. Like, where can we compromise? Where can we accept our differences? It just depends on what your relationship is. I personally don't like fighting. I have a lot of trauma around that. I prefer compromise. I prefer a common ground and finding, kind of where we differ and how we can embrace that. How can we embrace what makes us different and meet in the middle? That's the way that I like to approach things. But the Mars in me is that I'm not going to do something that is hurtful to me. I'm not going to make a compromise that puts me in a place of like disempowerment, essentially. Like, to me, compromise means that both people are empowered, both people are getting what they want out of the situation. And so I think that, and that's me, like, everybody's different, right? So I think that that's some of the questions that are coming up for Leo in relationship, like, what is healthy to advocate for? What is healthy to fight for in a relationship? As a woman, equality is really important to me. Feeling equal in a relationship is really important to me. I have Venus in Libra, so equality and fairness is really important to me. If I don't think things are fair, I get very upset. I think that that's what I fight for. I fight to feel like things are fair. I fight to feel heard. I fight to feel like I have an equal understanding in a partnership dynamic. And I want the person that I'm partnered with to feel that from me too. I think that that's an important thing for me in a relationship. Where I compromise a lot of times is if somebody sets a boundary with me and they say, I can't give that to you, I don't want to give that to you right now, then I say, okay, like, how can we work with that? How can we work through that? But if I continue to express a need and it's continuously not getting met over and over and over again, I amp up, that Mars comes out. So Leo, we have a lot of that going on right now. And it's going to continue to tell that story because Mars and Venus are going to move into Pisces in March, and it's going to go into that marital house and the money house and the shared assets and the shared resources and the sex and the everything. So all of that is a theme again. It's all happening. So let's go ahead and get into that a little bit more. So on March 10th, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces at 20 degrees. So that's going to be amplifying that 8th house. Great time to set intentions towards how you want this energy to work for you. We have all this tension and all this emphasis on this. So set intentions, like, how do you want to manifest positivity in this area or whatever the outcome is that you want. The same time as this new moon, we're going to have Mercury moving into Aries, and Mercury is going to be entering the area of the Leo horoscope that has to do with our values and our belief systems. And so right now we have the North Node and Chiron conjunct in Aries in this area of the chart. And so what's happening is that we're reflecting on, the Leo dominant person and sun and rising is reflecting on values and beliefs. Also, there's a wanderlust energy. It's time to kind of seek new territory. Do we want to go travel the world and experience other cultures? Are we on a deep spiritual quest for knowledge and truth? Do we want to go back to school? Like, there's all these kind of questions going on. And there might be some wounds around it too, some identity wounds, some kind of, who am I in the world? What am I doing? Like, those kinds of questions come up with North Node and Chiron in Aries in the 9th house. Then Mercury is going to come into this mix during this new moon. And we're going to have Mercury in Aries wanting to learn, wanting to experience new things, wanting to be receptive to new ideas, new knowledge, the quest for truth, this kind of thing. And Mercury in Aries is intense. It's really fiery and passionate, and it's going to be making a trine to Leo. So Aries and Leo like each other. Fire likes fire. And when we have this fast fire energy, especially with Mercury here, we can be very reactive. Our words can be very intense and very reactive and very swift and very fast. Mercury is going to be here until May. We have Mercury retrograde in Aries starting April 1st. We enter the Mercury retrograde shadow at the end of March in Aries. So there's a check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of thing going on here for Leo dominant people. But the hope too is that we're learning in a very smart, fast, quick way. Like that can be kind of helpful. And that being in the ninth house, like that's there helping us. But with the North Node journey and some of this Piscean energy, there's still a lot of confusion around it. And we still have this ability to move too quickly and be, there's this ninth house energy that's also kind of escapist, like Pisces, where we're seeking a kind of like a high, like an adrenaline, kind of junkie energy. And so we need to be really mindful with, are we learning for the sake of spiritual growth and evolution, or are we escaping and just trying to do these peak experiences that give us a high right now because we're avoiding some kind of responsibility? Fire signs, we always have to ask ourselves that, because we prefer, oh, somebody just hollered. I live right off Hollywood Boulevard and somebody's hollering. There's a lot of party people in this area that are escaping reality too. Okay, so once we get a little out of that, we have Venus entering Pisces on the 12th. So I already kind of talked about that. And then after that, on the 19th, the sun is going to enter Aries. And so it's Aries season now. Happy birthday to all the Aries, astrological new year. Sun's going to come in and highlight this ninth house energy and bring a lot of energy with Mercury here to that same kind of, quest for truth, quest for knowledge, peak experiences, spiritual searching, all of that kind of stuff. Then we're going to have Mars joining the Pisces party on the 23rd. Again, like this is tense energy for shared resources, money, assets, all this kind of stuff. And we're in the Mercury retrograde shadow now too. So it's a lot going on here. March 25th, we're going to have a lunar eclipse happening at 5 degrees of Libra. The area of the chart that this is highlighting is that ninth house again. So the sun's going to be in Aries at 5 degrees. That ninth house, values, belief systems. And then the moon is going to be in the third house of communication. And so the way that we communicate, the way we learn, our perspective on things is highlighted. Lunar eclipses, the energy frequency, it kind of is a catalyst for the next 6 months of themes. So whatever comes up for us during this time in terms of where we're shifting our perspectives, we're going to be going through that shift over the next 6 months. I'm so excited to be doing the horoscopes again for all of us, including myself. But it's just, the last time I did horoscopes was October 31st. And when I did the fire signs, there was a lot of this stuff that came up around assets and marriage and relationship and shared resources. And a lot of stuff came up during it that I was like, yeah, okay, this makes sense, to an extent. And then the next day, my partner left me out of the blue. And I went back and I watched all of the horoscopes that I had just recorded, and it was a trip. I was just like watching myself talking about certain things that were starting to happen once he left me. And it was weird. Like it tripped me out because the astrologer in me saw things going on, but I asked, I confronted, I did all these things. And so by the time that this happened, it was a surprise to me because I had tried to get in front of it. And so sitting here and talking about this month with all the same things and knowing what's going on in my life right now around shared resources, assets, all of that stuff from an astrological perspective, it's really overwhelming to be in this feedback loop and to have astrology as a way to watch my life, unfold, because it is forecasting, it is future telling. And it's hard when you can see it going on in somebody else's chart and you don't know how they're processing it because you're not them, but you can guess what's happening for them based off of what you know astrologically. And that I know what I'm going through and how it's happening for me astrologically. And I will say I was always really judgmental of horoscopes. I didn't really think that they were like, I just thought they were kind of like the um, watered down version of astrology. In a way they are because they're general. But once I started doing them and seeing how they played out in my life, I was very blown away by the accuracy. And so, with that said, I am offering readings again, personal readings, where those are more accurate to you on an individual level. So if you want to book a reading with me, you can email me at analisa6@ladyofleisure.com. I'll have that email in the description. I'm offering tarot and astrology readings again because I'm in this new life and I have to start making money and working, and I need clients and business. So please reach out to me if you'd like to book a session. But yeah, I think that, I know Leo people that are not in the situation that I'm in. And yet there's still a lot of these themes that are coming up, relationships, make or break time in relationships. You know, the part of the eighth house that's highlighted that, like, even if you're not in a relationship, there's still an emphasis on how you're managing your money, your property, your taxes, your assets, your business, financials, your will, and also sex, your relationship to your sexuality and all of that kind of stuff is highlighted. And there's that occult aspect, like our relationship to healing things around the past, our relationship to, even if we're not married anymore, maybe there's a relationship to healing around the trauma of a marriage or a relationship, or a death, things like that. So those are all themes for us, this month. And it's not a smooth month, but that's okay. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunistic month for growth. I'll say that. Good luck to us. We're doing it, and I will see you guys next month.